Do you currently deliver services to your clients? Do you submit proposals or bids to win the work that you already have coming through into your business? Are you in construction? Are you in engineering? Are you a consultant or coach or speaker or any type of professional service business? If if that is you, you're going to want to listen in today because we are going to give you the clarity that you need to finally get started with government contracting. My name is Melinda Colon. I am a government contracting expert, an advisor, and an enterprise value architect that helps businesses increase the value of their business by adding a strategic and stable, repeatable, and predictable revenue stream of government contracts. Today, I want to just help you get clarity and to really have focus in a very noisy world. So, what it takes to actually win a government contract. Like right now in your business, you're doing good. You got clients, but you want more stability. You want to step into the next level of business growth. And you know that what got you here is not going to get you to where you want to go. Okay. And because of that, you got to kind of identify the right strategy, the method, the framework that's going to get you there. And it's going to be the GovCon sales strategy. It's my proprietary system and framework that has unlocked 5.8 billion in client wins since 2020. And I don't say that lightly. I say that with a lot of confidence, knowing that my clients have increased their win rates exponentially just by applying the system in the right sequential order. Now, with a 74% win rate in our own consulting business, where we helped, seven, eight, and beyond businesses that are generating multiple billions of dollars and millions of dollars every every year, we're helping them also do that. And so this is a practiced system. This is a system that has been refined and defined not just by my personal experience, but by the experiences, the knowledge from working under and with brands and businesses that are where you want to be in the future. They have systems. They've been doing it for years, hundreds of years, some of them 2, 4 decades. And it really just comes down to simple steps. When I reveal to you the steps, it starts to give you a lot of clarity, but a lot of confidence. Because more likely you're sitting on a mountain of value and you're just not utilizing them properly. You're not leveraging them in the right arena. Why not leverage them with a buyer that constantly buys what you sell? In fact, instead of chasing contracts, I highly recommend that you start allowing those contracts to chase you. And that's what starts to unlock for you in the government world. So, the only difference if you raise your hand from someone who is currently doing business and submitting bids and or proposals to win contracts, whether that be with commercial clients or corporate clients, is actually just getting in front of the right traffic. With corporate and commercial clients, and I have several of them, and I do appreciate and value their relationship. Their system is completely different. It oftentimes takes a while to get them a response. In fact, when we're comparing whether or not public sector or private sector is faster, we find that public sector often is faster with the right strategy. And there's more confidence behind the numbers. Where with the private sector, you're putting in a number that may or may not be in agreement in alignment with their plans because you're only visible to the problem that they have brought you in to solve. Whereas public sector, you know everything about these agencies. Every dollar that is spent is publicly recorded, and you know how much their budget is for the specific line item where you fall in. So there's not guessing. It's just really, honestly, just standing in front of the traffic where the opportunities are already flowing so that you can capture what you want. Now, today, what we're going to do is just kind of think about contracts in a different way. It's like, why is it such a powerful thing? Why is it such a unique thing that there isn't necessarily a book? Well, actually, I do have books if you're interested, but there isn't a roadmap for how to navigate both federal and SLED marketplaces successfully. And thankfully, our clients are doing both. They're just winning it and with federal contracts, IDIQs, GSAs, you name it. And also, they're winning it in the SLED market with higher ed, municipalities, utilities, it's just education, K through 12, like that, and also with other agency partners. Now, what this means is you get to diversify with public dollars and allows you to create stability, but also achieve those revenue goals. Like you're looking at your business right now, and you may have a revenue goal for 5 years. You're looking at, okay, I want to hit this mark. Maybe it's 50 million, maybe it's 100 million in the next 5 years. It's totally doable. In fact, one of our clients came to us and they were just doing 10 million in revenue a year, and they wanted to win contracts. They said they wanted to add another 10 to their revenue for that fiscal year. We were working with started working together. And in just 90 days, they were able to unlock two $7.5 million contracts. Well, 7.5 plus 7.5 equals 15 million. And they have now established relationships with those buyers. Do those contracts stop? No. There's oftentimes contracts will they have terms for 3 years, 5 years, sometimes longer. Some contracts are where you can stack them effortlessly on top of each other. And it really just kind of gives you systems that you're looking for. Because you might be thinking, okay, so once I get the contract, how do I deliver it? Well, you already have the system in your business. It's no different. It's one of the reasons why they hired you. And so I'm going to share with you a few things so that you know what it takes to actually win a government contract. I was talking to a friend of mine from a mastermind. We were just catching up, and she shared with me that her son had won a contract, a government contract, in his senior year of high school for his newly established business. Just like that. So if you're thinking to yourself, well, I don't know if I'm in business long enough, or I don't know if I can do this or this, that, and the other, you might already be established. We just need to position you appropriately. And it's not just chasing contracts. Like that's very challenging, but it could also be dangerous to your reputation when we're building relationships with people, and that is what we're doing in the government market, is we're building relationships with people. They're getting to know you by your response, by your messages, by your emails, by your bids, by your proposals. And so if that first impression doesn't land the way that you expect or hope it does, then it feels like there's a lot more work to be done. Now, you might be thinking, well, that sounds really biased, but actually, it's not. If you don't know what to put into your responses, if you don't know how to craft your value proposition and your differentiators, like what makes you stand out and unique from everyone else, and also how to price right so that you're actually in the running, this does change everything. It does change your relationship with public sector. It changes your relationship and their perception of your business, whether or not they could trust that you'll be a long-term strategic partner. I slow down and say that because these are key words that they must hear. And actually, with integrity, you must mean being a strategic long-term partner. It changes everything. You're now building relationship with people on the other end that buy what you sell. And you're educating them on how to buy. You're educating them on how to navigate the industry that you're in. You see, the thing that the things that people say about public sector that they hate, like it's slow and there's a lot of red tape and bureaucracy. In fact, I see it from a different perspective. And here's why. When they're slow, that means that you, as someone who is navigating a business and growing it in the private sector, can actually educate them on what's happening ahead of them. So if you're in prime, if you're, excuse me, private sector, and you're educating a public sector buyer. Let's say, for example, your local city. You're saying, hey, this is what's happening right now. Let me educate, keep you apprised to what's going on right now in the market. They may or may not know. They may be working with the same vendor that they have been for the last 5 years and not aware of what has changed since the last time they awarded that contract. And when you do that, when you put yourself in a position where they can lead on you for guidance and education, then you become what's called an advisor. Now, being an advisor is very powerful because you get to help them educate on the materials that they need and the services that they might need or might want to consider. I was on a a conference call a few months ago. There was, I don't know, maybe like 200 vendors on the call, and we were just kind of discussing different challenges that they were having with the solicitation process. And one of them raised her hand and she asked, well, she kind of just shared that one of her concerns as a graphic designer is some of the materials that they want to print on can only be sourced and supplied by one vendor. Like they didn't have access to that. And so she felt that that was unfair. And so the discussion circled around, well, what do we do? Like, how can we handle, how can we deal with this? And the perfect formula, the perfect prescription for what her situation was is just to reach out to the agency and educate them. Say, hey, the reason why you only get one qualified bid when you put out this opportunity for these materials is because this vendor is the only one that can get access to it. Others are either not educated or they think they have a relationship or they come higher because they don't have that key relationship. And just by having that conversation later on, she shared with me, was able to schedule a lunch and learn with that agency, educate them on other materials to apply the thing that she was designing. And then it opened up a pool for more competitor opportunities. Now you might be thinking, oh my gosh, she just shot herself in the foot because now other people are going to bid too. Well, of course, yes. However, she's built a relationship with them. And there are certain conversations that occurred outside of the acquisition process that helped her have a leg up when it came to bidding. This is what happens in the public sector marketplace. It's not just about what the solicitation includes, it's about what the solicitation doesn't include and your opportunity to get access to that information by building long term strategic relationships with the buyers. Now, that is just one instance. Now, let's talk about bureaucracy and the red tape. And I don't want to deal with the politics. Well, here's the thing, if you're running an established business, you're successfully winning business and you've got a team and you're growing and you see the scale, you have a vision for the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and you're concerned about bureaucracy, red tape, or politics, I would just challenge you to think maybe you're already influenced by those things already. See, when we're talking about red tape, one of the things that I experience when I'm working with more established businesses is they already have red tape. They have a gate kept lead magnet. They have to put your name and email address in. They have the specific point of contacts instead of working directly with the CEO. They have specific workflows and systems and processes so that it's structured and people don't have to think about the same thing or answering the same question over and over again. Now, over time, you start to refine this structure. And in outside perspective, it might feel like there's a lot of red tape, there's a lot of bureaucracy. But in reality, you're creating a workflow so that you work with the right people, both internally and as clients, so that you're not wasting your time with people that are not in alignment, that they can find what they need faster because they realize that you're not for them. And that's just a part of marketing and branding and operations, just running a successful business, realizing that you're not for everyone. It's the same thing on the public sector side. You're not going to be for every agency. That's why there's nearly 100,000 agencies just here in the United States that are buying what you sell every day, monthly, yearly. And it really can change your life if you understand how to do it properly. When I see contracts for, let's say, for example, veteran affairs, or let's say DHS, like Department of Homeland Security, or contracts for, um, gosh, Department of Labor. And then you look at the SLED agencies like your utilities or city counties or, higher ed or hospitals. And you start to see that they buy basically the same thing across the board. They might structure it differently, but they're buying the same thing. Now, why is that important to know what you stand for and what is an alignment for your business? Because it's about growing your business. It's not about just achieving and winning a contract. It's about building a long-term relationship with a buyer that needs your services. It's going to be easier to build a relationship with a buyer that you actually enjoy serving and that you can see that they're in partnership with making tomorrow better in your perspective. And you get to build that relationship with those buyers. And that way, you're not stuck in politics that you don't agree with. You're not doing something that isn't in alignment with your culture, your mission, or your goals. You're just aligning to those buyers to help them achieve the thing that you see can be a benefit to the community and to the world. For example, education for one of my clients who is a speaker, she speaks to different police departments across the United States about communication and some persuasion communication of how to actually talk to people that call in, like if they're dispatching or when they're out in the streets when they're on duty. And she gives them different ways of handling situations so that there's more of a feel of like there's trust. Now, what type of value do you think that sales coach has on those police departments? Huge value, exponential. She's sold her books through them. She's given them programs and courses and different live trainings, in-person things and events, different Q&As, panels, and things like that, because she understands that it's not sales that she's selling, it's persuasion and communication. And she is a master at that. And so is that is that bureaucratic or political? No, it's actually just making the world a better place so that things actually get done appropriately and the best for the benefit of everyone involved. So if you get to be a part of that type of impact that occurs in our communities and in our world, wouldn't it be a better place to live? Even if you're in facilities, like if you own a facility management company, there are, oh gosh, everyone purchases facilities, actually. Think about it. Everyone from courthouses to higher education, K through 12, sports and rec, like different parks and recreation, libraries, hospitals. I mean, just you name it, even dormitory housing. And you think about the opportunities there. People that are looking for justice or they're getting education or they're just supporting the role that God has have in their life, that current situation, and you get to be a part of that experience. It changes the conversation. And that's what we're here to do. You see, this is not black and white. This is an opportunity to find your own zone, your own lane to live in when it comes to public sector buying. It's about building a relationship with buyers who have a heart, who care about what the world looks like tomorrow, and aligning yourself with their mission and their vision. And how would you find that information out? Actually, that is the action step for today. It's actually just to go to your local municipality site and even just do a quick Google search or use your favorite AI tool to ask what is the closest federal or state local buying agency that is in the vicinity, and just learn about the mission. Just pick one and just learn about the mission. Just read it, consume it, and see if it's in alignment. You'll be surprised at what's out there for you. Now, I also want to talk about some of the things that you might be feeling concerning about government contracts before we get into the steps. There are 5 steps. It's a part of the GovCon sales strategy. And one of the reasons why this system is so powerful is it changes the way that you do business. It doesn't change your business, it changes the way you do business, because you're no longer having to necessarily chase for every deal. You're positioning yourself in front of the right buyers with the biggest pockets in the world to buy what you sell, and they don't just buy it once, they buy it over and over again. And you might be thinking that, like, you're currently working with some private sector companies or business owners or, people, and they buy once maybe and they never buy again. Well, the interesting is on the public sector side, they buy over and over and over and over again. And they have been buying from vendors just like you for centuries. So we're celebrating 250 years here in 2026. Actually, so 250 years, let's just say legally. But it's been a lot longer than that since the first contract was awarded. And it went to a small business. Now, what is small? What's considered small? Small business, like I said, could be a startup. Maybe you have some experience from your job or your position from a previous job or something like that, and you have a startup business. You're starting to learn the ropes. Now, the one thing that I'll say, if you're at this stage of starting a business, is you want to get your paperwork in order. So, what does that look like? I'm just going to keep it simple. You want to make sure that you're established and you're paying taxes. You've gone through one cycle of doing that, then there's less concern about what you can and kind of do. And then that way, the only thing you need to focus on is business development in terms of like invoicing and contracts, and there's also taxes and the bank account and EIN and LLC and license insurances and things like that. Some of those things are required to bid on contracts in general, and some of them aren't. It just depends on who you're buying from or who you're selling to and what their requirements are. If you're in IT or cybersecurity, you already know that there are specific security clearances and there's levels of certification that you might want to explore to see if you're right fit for those opportunities. But otherwise, there are contracts that do not require those licenses and certifications at different agencies. You just need to know where to look. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how big or small you are, there are contracts for your service based business. And if you're feeling like you're not ready, now, what does this mean when you're not ready? Not ready feels like, I remember a few years ago, I had an opportunity to invest in participating or joining a mastermind. And I was apprehensive. I was a little concerned whether or not I was ready to be a part of this. I mean, did I have what it takes? Like, I want to be able to give as much as I receive. And I didn't want to be that person that just takes, takes, takes. Like, those people are yucky. I want to be able to give value as well as receive value. And I want to make sure that this is the right fit for my business. It's not something that is going to just be an investment that I don't see the ROI in. And so I was concerned. And I thought to myself, I just need to sleep on it. Well, I just need to sleep on it. And just like life happens, every single day I slept on it, or I thought about it, or I prayed about it. It just caused more delay. And I had to just make a decision. And it's one of the most freeing things that I can tell any business owner is making a decision just gives you so much more peace. Making a decision versus making or select having a choice, like you choose to do this today or not. Like, if it doesn't work, then I can go the other route, actually causes more strain and pressure to your brain. And you've got enough to think about. When you make a decision, you say, I'm going to do this, or we're going to do contracts, or we're not going to do contracts. Life will be easier because now your brain is not looking for a solution that you're not interested in. If you're looking for government contracts, if you're looking to win a government contract, well, it'll be easier if you just make a decision. It's not a choice. It's like not looking for, okay, well, if government contract doesn't work, then I can try something else to grow my business. It's government contracts is going to work and it will grow my business. That confidence, clarity, and just that commitment to growth does change the landscape. And people are attracted by that, including those buyers that you're looking to build relationships with. So it's not necessarily are you ready? It's like are you willing to do the work to get the result that you desire? Now, a lot of our clients win contracts the first round. I won't lie. 30, 60, 90 days they win contracts. I won't say that that is something that I can guarantee. I have like a lot of conversations with business owners who look for guarantees. Like, can you guarantee a contract? Well, if I did, that would be illegal and definitely frowned upon by government buyers. We're never looking for a guarantee. We're looking to build relationships so those opportunities are predictable. They just happen because they're supposed to happen. If you ever thought about that, where you get into your car and you're just like, I'm going to the grocery store. Well, who says you'll actually make it there? But because you're so committed and so confident that you're going to get there, that you eventually will get there, regardless of the detours, the flat tire, the stop at the gas station, the turnaround to get home to pick up the grocery list that you forgot on the counter. You get to the grocery store. So this is just about committing to the destination and committing to the outcome that you're looking for, regardless of what comes up after you make that decision. What type of experience do government buyers look for? This is very interesting. Having had conversations with dozens of government buyers on both the federal and the SLED side, the number one thing that I took away from those conversations is that the experience that they're looking for is delivery. The experience they're looking for is delivery. Can you deliver on what you say you promise? Not, well, yeah, I'll find someone to do the work, or I think so, or anything like that. They can feel it, they can sense it in your numbers, they can see it in your messaging. Confidence is written everywhere in your marketing. And if that comes across, it diminishes the ability for them to trust you and it increases risk. And their whole job is to lower risk. So if you're increasing the risk, you're working against them. And that is not what you want to do. Instead, you want to lean in with your experience. That's why I highly recommend to start with services that you know that you could deliver. If you can't deliver them, I would highly recommend to hold off on those things until you can. And this is as simple as looking for opportunities that are right fit for you, right fit contracts for your business right now. Eventually, you'll grow into bigger ones. Eventually, those doors will open. And in fact, the relationships from buyer to buyer, they're all connected. We might not be able to see it, but there is a relationship there that if you talk to one agency and then you talk to another agency, 9 times out of 10, they already know each other. So you're not far from the opportunities that really have you stop in your tracks. But we have to start somewhere and allow that to snowball in your favor. It's not complicated, really. It's kind of simple. And it's actually more simple than people think. It's oversimplified. Honestly, I believe so. And how simple it is this. I had oh my gosh, I host these virtual events a lot. And in my client conversations, they say the same thing. In fact, I had a conversation just last week with someone, and they said, man, Melinda, you really simplify the complicated. I know the terminologies and the acronyms and the portals and where to find this and that. It just feels very disjointed. Well, thankfully, they're working on that. Um, but in the meantime, while we're navigating it as established business owners who are really busy, we don't have time to figure out where the next portal is. That's where this comes in. It's understanding what do they actually need and want. So here you go. Here are the 5 steps of the GovCon sales strategy. The first step is to prepare. It's like, what are you actually going to sell? And to be committed on what that service is, because it's going to be what people get to know you as for now. It doesn't have to be forever, just for right now. Get your foot in the door. Let them get to know you, get to know your personality, your business, your brand, what you stand for, what you don't stand for. This matters in this world right now. And so to stand out, you want to be able to lean on your expertise. So prepare with the end in mind. Like, what is the goal that you want to achieve? And just stay committed to that. Make a decision. Say, I want to do this and I'm going to do this. I'm going to get to the grocery store, regardless of whatever happens in between me leaving my house and getting there. Whether there's no parking and I'm going to have to wait, or that I have to drive all the way back home for the shopping list, or I forgot my wallet on the counter or in another purse. Like, these things happen all the time. But you're going to the grocery store, right? So you're going to win a contract. It's just going to, it might take more than you expect, or it may take less. It depends on where you are right now. And the easier opportunities, the low hanging fruit is aligned with your capabilities and your skill sets right now. If you're thinking to yourself, well, I've only been in business for a year or 2 years or 5 years or 10 years, like, there are contracts right now that you need to access, because the 2 years you might be averaging, let's say, 10 clients versus your competitor who's been in business for 10 years that has 3 clients a year. Do the math. You have more experience than they do, and you have more knowledge. So when someone tells me they have 25 years in an industry, the question that I often ask them is, how, like, does the results equate to that 25? How many results, how many clients are you working with every year? And so it just kind of just quiets the idea that you have to be in business for a certain amount of time. Instead, what are the results that you get for clients? Really think about that. What's the transformation? What is the thing that they came to you for, that they paid you big bucks to get? A result, a transformation, an outcome that they didn't get before and they couldn't get on their own or decided not to do it themselves. And there you are. That's the opportunity. Now we're just going to go into the marketplace and target, which is step number 2, the agencies that buy what you sell. And like I shared with you earlier, there are so many agencies. Imagine going into a big conference room, just you and your team walking into a big conference room full of buyers, and they're all screaming your services, waving cards and credit cards and cash in front of you, just asking you, like, hey, pick me, let me give you money. That is what's happening in the public sector. It's completely opposite. Instead of you trying to chase the contract, you're being chased. They're putting out opportunities to get your attention. Are you paying attention? So there isn't a lot of red tape. It's just the right format and structure to filter out people who are not serious. And it goes back to making a decision. Are you willing to do the work? Now, if you're established and you have, let's say, 5+ years in business, you more than likely have everything done, like the right insurances that you need, the right registrations you need. You have your Secretary of State registration, your EIN, your business corporation, like whether it's an LLC or a C corp or S corp, however it's taxed, a bank account, like everything is already set up. And the only thing that you have to do is fill out a form, just give them the information, right? You're just giving them the information. You've done this before, just not in this way. So they're not asking for anything that you don't already have. You just need to put in the right information that you already have to get access to the opportunities that you already want. And it doesn't take years. Like, it could take years. It really could. The people that take where it takes years are people that don't have a strategy. They don't have a roadmap, they have no guidance, and they're getting registered on SAM because that's what they think they need to do. And they hire a VA who looks for opportunities and wins bid for them, but they never get any output. And then they don't trust the process, and they don't trust anybody, and they feel stuck. And then they sit on that for a few years until they hear someone else winning that they know. And they're just like, man, I need to get back into that. And they go back into it themselves. And they're staying up at night in the middle of the night because they don't trust anybody to do it, and they're like, well, I got to figure it out because if so and so could do it, I definitely can. And that's way too long. Instead, having a roadmap and a guide and a system, just basically just a simple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's it. It helps you and your team know how to do this, and it doesn't rely on you as the owner. When I'm talking about prepare, it's really interesting. I shared with you, I think it was last week, we talked about doing an audit, a simple audit out of QuickBooks or spreadsheet of clients that you worked with and what did you actually deliver. Look at your case studies, see what the transformation unlocked for them. That's it. Step number two is targeting those buyers. Find out who those buyers are. Really simple. Really simple. If you see how I'm going to do it for you, or show you how to do it, it doesn't take years. It takes minutes. Now, with strategize, which is step number three, it's positioning. Okay. Before you even open your mouth, you want to know what your position is. It's the value that you're bringing, the stories that you talk about, and your promise. So, your stories and promise, they matter. The stories of how you got the results for your clients. Like one of my clients that had a backlog of 18, excuse me, in 18 months, they did 2 billion in a backlog of work. Or one of our clients that won $1 million contract in 30 days, or one of my other clients who won a $5 million contract in 90 days, or one of my clients who is running an accounting firm that's built a relationship with a buyer who constantly buys every single fiscal year to do some of the analytics and the research and the data mining for them. These are all opportunities that exist for your business. It doesn't take years when you have a roadmap. Now, the big companies that are already winning everything, sometimes you'll be competing with them. Most of the time you're not, 'cause just by being a small business owner. And this is one of my qualms is when people say you have to have a certification to win a contract, absolutely not. That is not true. In fact, I would recommend you not get a certification until you know it's going to bring you value. Really, really honestly, there are some opportunities, well, a lot of opportunities that a certification does not make you different because everybody has a certification. It's free of charge. And because everybody is taking the same advice, now you're having to compete with the same thing that you would have needed to compete with before you got a certification. And the certification itself doesn't take much time to do or to acquire, and it doesn't cost you anything. So instead of going down the route of like getting all of these certifications, I need this, honestly, I feel like that's just delay. Like you're just using that as an excuse that I need this in order to get that. And truly, if I can talk heart to heart for a moment, you already have so much value already in you and your team and in your business. It's just untapped. You're leaving millions, if not billions of dollars on the table just because you're in delay. And if I can recommend something, if I can just suggest something to you from one business owner to the next, just make a decision on everything today. Just start making decisions. Get things off of your plate. Move them either to the bin or to delegate to somebody else so that you can go faster. Because the faster you get, there will always be a positive outcome when you focus on one thing at a time. If you're just spread out thin all the time, it's you're just causing the stress that you want to get rid of. So just let go, and just focus on the bigger opportunities that you can get with the low hanging fruit, meaning that government contracting is going to pay off in big chunks, and you already have so much value in your business. So why chase writing a book right now or doing anything that may or may not actually work in your favor? It's actually higher risk to do any of those things. Lower risk is selling your services to buyers who are already asking you to sell it to them. It's really a simple formula. So stop making it complicated. All right, let's keep going. Okay. If you don't feel like you're big enough, it's okay. There are contracts of all size. So let me just for a brief second, I'm going to give you a little bit of education on contracts. I think a lot of people believe that contracts only come in one way. Like you have to go on a procurement site and you have to bid on something. That is untrue. There are hundreds of different types of contracts available to you right now. There are different vehicles, they're called vehicles, that exist that do not require you to compete. So instead of thinking, well, this is what I only see, understand working with an expert like me, I can help you realize what is already available to you because you're just not seeing it. You don't see it, you're overlooking it, and you need to work with someone who can point it out to you. And if you've never done a government contract before, amazing. That's actually a benefit. If you've done a government contract before and it went successfully, amazing. We just want to make sure you're keeping or improving your win rate and building relationship along the lines. Because once you win a contract the first time, it doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to win it again. You want to make sure that you have a framework. That framework is going to help you get clarity on what you don't need to do and what you do need to do. The system works for beginners and it works for experts who have already been tapped into the government market because there's something in the sequence that you've been delivering on that is out of whack, right? When you're winning a contract and then you don't win for a while again, it's like, what's going on? It might just be you. Did you actually, do the due diligence, understand who your competitors are? Maybe something changed about your buyer. Look at your messaging, look at your pricing. Is it in alignment with how and what they're thinking about? Are you positioning yourself in front of the right buyers? So these are all things that you want to keep in consideration. So there's no such thing as, in my opinion, as you've never, like, you won't win because you've never done a government contract. Actually, it's the opposite. If you've never won a government contract before and you have tons of experience, you better get in there because one of the symptoms that occur when a business wins contracts back to back or long-term contracts like 3, 5, 10-year contracts is that they get lazy in their marketing, in their business development, because they feel like, well, we want a contract. We don't need to do anything more. We'll just, we'll coast. And it's a very dangerous place to be because your buyers are always looking and interested about how you're growing your business. If you're growing, they're growing. If you're doing good business, they're getting great results, right? So they're always paying attention to those things, and you should too. And if you haven't been in the market yet, I would recommend to do so because more than likely you have a different, your perspective on business growth is more accelerant. It's like you have more motivation to get great results because you've been in the private sector where it's kind of been a hustle, right? When you get in the public sector, it's like there's a lot of ease. There's a lot of peace of mind. And so it's one of the reasons I just pressure my clients. And I tell my clients, I say, as soon as you get a contract, you need to delegate because when you hire team members and you have people doing the work, they're required to stay on top of things. As you as an owner, if you're doing everything, it's a lot. And so consistency starts to dwindle if it's really just your responsibility. Because it could feel like a big game if only the big guys win or only those that are already in the ring, like, why would they want me? And because there's already so many competitors, but that's silly. You wouldn't be in business if that was true. Like, there's so many construction firms, there's so many engineering firms, there's so many coaches and consultants, and there's people who are doing facility management and cleaning, and that are accountants and marketing and branding, and they buy ads, and there's so many, like, there's just overwhelming, so many types of same business that you're in. The difference is how they deliver the system and their stories and the promise, like those three things. So you'll always stand out if you know how to position yourself. If nothing happens, if you try, say you win, you bid on 3 or 5 contracts and nothing happens. Well, that's an evaluation and that's always valuable. If you think about it, so one of the reasons why I love just researching big brands because they value data. They buy data. Why would people buy data? Why would people buy information? Because information is worth trillions, if not infinite amounts of money. You can do so much with data. If you're bidding on contracts, let's say you bid on 5 contracts and you didn't win any of them. That's the first thing is congratulations, you bid on something, but let's look at the data. Let's look at the results. Like what did the awarded bidder look like? What did they put as their response in their bid and in their proposal? What did your proposal look like? What did your bid look like? What was an alignment? Did they already have an existing relationship? Are they new? Do they just, there's so many questions that helps you gather the right information in the right order so you can make educated decisions about how to move forward. And so it's not a bad thing that you've lost contracts. It's actually a good thing because you have data on something that most people are afraid to do. They're afraid to bid on a contract. They get up, they get excited, they find something, they put together the bid, and they never submit it because of fear. I know tons of people like that. And unfortunately, they look back. I've reached out to a couple of them and I've had them look back and see whether or not they would have been in alignment. Some of them were. Some of them would have won if they would have bid. So you have to put yourself out there. You got to just go ahead and just do the work, get out there, do the work and bid so that you can get better. You don't just you don't go from 0 to winning. You got to take the steps in the right order so they can get the right results. Now, I want to share with you a stat. The federal government, so oftentimes people talk about there's $700 billion in contracts. Well, yes, there are $700 billion in contracts in the federal market. That does not include the state and local market. The state and local market have an additional, hear this out, an additional $1 trillion in fiscal budget every year. So you're looking at $1.7 trillion. And in some years, it looks like $2 trillion, not billion, not million, trillion dollars of spending, of buying goods and services. So there's so much available to you. This is not about a small opportunity. This is the largest buying system in the world. So hopefully this helps you frame what it takes to win a contract. Now, let's go ahead and just close up and share with you there's an opportunity for you to learn more about the GovCon sales strategy. And I want to dive into it with you. And so that you have clarity on what the system is and how to apply it in your business. All you need to do is go to realbusinessrealcontracts.com right for our next upcoming virtual event. And that's where you'll get clarity. That's where you'll make the best decision for your business, whether it's with government contracts or if it's without government contracts. Because what's holding you back, what's causing you to slow down and delay is the inability to make a decision. So let me help you make that decision. Let me show you what's possible for your business and help you get clarity. For everyone who registers for realbusinessrealcontracts.com, you'll get access live in person of an opportunity for me to evaluate your business in real time. What does that mean? Is to actually give you an assessment on your business. How about that? Help you understand, okay, so this is what you need. This is what you need to win contracts and give you the roadmap customized to your business. So if you're interested in that, just go to realbusinessrealcontracts.com and register today and just allow yourself to finally take control of your business growth. I'll see you guys tomorrow.